One of the questions I get asked a lot is, what screenwriting book should I buy? What one is the best? But I actually think that's the wrong question to ask, because the answer I give is entirely dependent on one thing: what your weakness is as a writer. Because it's only by working on our weaknesses that we can improve. Let's say you struggle with character. They aren't believable or feel mechanical. I'll suggest a different book than if your problem was structure or plot. So in this video I want to break down some of my favorite screenwriting books and the reasons I'd recommend them. And stay tuned, because at the end I'll give my opinion for the best thing you can be reading as a screenwriter. The first is Syd Field's Screenplay. Often considered the Bible of screenwriting books, it's an in-depth analysis of 3-act structure and a fantastic starting point for beginners or those who struggle with plot and structure. Now, I've been noticing a paradigm shift away from 3-act structure in the last few years, particularly in the TV sphere, but this method is still dominant, and as such, every screenwriter should have a firm understanding of it, even if they don't intend to use it. Similar to Screenplay, and one of my personal favorites, is Robert McKee's Story. I usually recommend this as the second book to read after Screenplay because they complement each other. It's a little less accessible, but the stuff in here is fantastic, with greater expansion on 3-act structure, some character work, and useful examples of how his techniques apply to films we know and love. And then there's what's commonly referred to as the People magazine of screenwriting, Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. If you want to write mainstream, high-concept blockbusters, this is the book for you. It's an entertaining read that introduces some interesting concepts that I still use, like Pope in the Pool or double mumbo jumbo. If you don't know what those things are, check this book out. Now I want to get into some books I'd recommend if you struggle with character development, and to some extent dialogue, because dialogue is intrinsically linked to character. Often if you have trouble with dialogue, it's rooted in a problem with the character. The first book is K.M. Weiland's Creating Character Arcs. This is one of my absolute favorites, so much so that I did an entire video using her concepts and applied it to Star Wars. In it you'll learn about the 3 different types of character arcs and how a character shapes the story, not the other way around. It's also a great analysis of how your character changes over the course of the film, or how they change the world around them. Highly recommend. The second is Lajos Egri's The Art of Dramatic Writing. Now, this is actually a book about playwriting, but a lot of the stuff in here is transferable for us screenwriters. Chiefly among them is the idea of the tri-dimensional character, in which he argues that in order to understand how characters react in certain situations, we must first know 3 things about them. There's sociology, physiology, and psychology. So if you've ever gotten the note, "Oh, I don't think the character would do that," or "your characters aren't believable," I'd check out this book. Then there are the books I consider outliers. The first is John Truby's The Anatomy of Story, which offers a different approach to storytelling that is a direct refutation of the traditional 3-act structure. Tired of McKee or Field? This is the book for you, offering new, paradigm-shifting techniques on how to approach story. I also love how Truby uses multiple films as example throughout to highlight his tools and concepts. Then there's Christopher Vogler's The Writer's Journey, which looks at storytelling from a place of heroic myth. A character goes into the unknown, battles his or her demons, and comes back a hero. The interesting thing about The Writer's Journey is that it can fit in almost any of the aforementioned structures. This book is also great if you're stuck. Say there's a problem with your script and you just can't figure it out. Going through the steps of The Writer's Journey can help pinpoint where your problem is and offer solutions on how to solve it. Last, and certainly not least, the best thing you can be reading to better yourself as a writer is to read other scripts. Read bad ones, read good ones, immerse yourself in other people's work. You'll start learning what you like, what you don't, pacing, tone, and other things you can't learn from watching the movie or reading a book. As someone who has read over 1,000 scripts, I can honestly say that reading others has been one of the greatest learning experiences. I'll leave a link below where you can find out how to access some of these scripts, and I also suggest checking out the annual blacklist to give you a sense of what is out there and what is getting buzz. So that's my breakdown of my favorite screenwriting books. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love your feedback, and as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button. Keep on writing.